This will be for the con exercise, power rule with rewriting the expression. So the main thing you want to remember to convert radical form to exponential form, in other words, a fractional exponent, the exponent goes in the numerator and the root goes in the denominator. Okay, that's how you get your fractional exponent. So that's the main part, and everything else that we learned applies. Okay, when it's in the form of a times x to the power of n, when you want to find your derivative, you just take that n, move it out front and multiply it, and then subtract 1 from the exponent n. Okay, and then you will get your derivative function right there. And if you want to find the derivative at a certain point, a certain x coordinate, you just plug in that x coordinate. So like if it's f prime of 3, that's the slope at x equals 3. You just plug in 3 in place of x in your derivative function. All right, so everything else that we learned still applies. All right, so here we have the third root of x to the fourth. They want us to find g prime of x. Easiest way to do this is to convert it to x with a fractional exponent. All right, so we have our base number x, or our base variable. The root, which is right here, is going to be in the denominator, and the exponent is going to be in the numerator. Okay, so we have x. The exponent is going to be in the numerator of the fractional exponent, and the root is going to be in the denominator. Okay, so third root of x to the fourth equals x to the 4/3. Now we can apply our derivative. Okay, if we want to do g prime of x, recall that you just take the exponent, you move that out front, and then you subtract 1 from the exponent. So the 4/3 is going to be out front. That's going to be times x. And x is going to have an exponent of 4/3 minus 1. Okay, so that's going to be 4/3. And you need a common denominator, of course. Minus 1 is the equivalent of minus 3/3. So that's going to be 4/3 times x. 4/3 minus 3/3 is just 1/3. Final answer. All right, so same process as always. 4/3, hit tab, type x, shift 6 for the exponent, parentheses, 1/3, hit tab, parentheses again. 4/3 times x to the 1/3. All right, so here they want us to find g prime of 1. I'm pretty sure this is the same problem, but except now we have to plug in x equals 1 once we get the derivative function, but we already did that. Okay, this was, oh no, this one's slightly different. Okay, so we have g of x, and that's going to equal the base number or variable x. The exponent is going to go in the numerator, and the root is going to go in the denominator. So we have x, the numerator on the exponent is a 3, and the denominator on the exponent is a 4. Okay, and if we do g prime, g prime of x, you take that 3/4, you move it out front. All right, so that's going to be 3/4 times x, and you subtract 1 from the exponent, so that's going to be 3/4 minus 1. Okay, so we have 3/4, we have x, and we need a common denominator to subtract. Okay, 3/4 is the exponent, and minus 1 is the same as minus 4/4. So that's going to be 3/4 times x. 3/4 minus 4/4 is negative 1/4. Okay, so that is g prime of x. That's our slope function, but we have to sub in x equals 1. Let me make some room. All right, so we have to sub in 1 here. So if we do g prime of 1, that's just going to be 3/4. You sub in 1 in place of x. So 3/4 times 1 to the negative 1/4. And really, I already know that this part is just going to be 1. All right, I'll do that as a sidebar here. But 1 to the negative 1/4 is just 1. That just cancels. And 3/4 times 1 is 3/4. Final answer. All right, 1 to the negative 1/4. I'll do that on the side here. 1 to the negative 1/4. That's the same as, if you flip this, you can change the plus minus sign on the exponent. That's the same as 1 over 1 to the 1/4. Okay, and when it's to the power of 1/4, that's just the 4th root of 1. So it's 1 divided by the 4th root of 1. Okay, what multiplied 4 times will give you 1? Well, that's just 1. If you multiply 1 4 times, you still have 1. So the 4th root of 1 is just 1. So 1 over 1 is just 1. Okay, so that's why I was allowed to cancel that 1. 1 to the negative 1/4 is just 1. So I canceled that, and it's 3/4. Final answer. All right, here we have 1 over x to the third. They want us to find g prime of 3. So we're looking to find the slope at x equals 3. All right, let's transfer this. 1 over x to the third. If we take this and we move it up to the numerator, that's going to be x to the negative 3. Okay, you just change the plus minus sign on the exponent. And now we can do our derivative. Okay, so if we want to do g prime of x, as always, you take the exponent, you move that out front. So that's going to equal negative 3 times x. And you remove 1 unit from the exponent. So negative 3 minus 1. Okay, and that's going to equal negative 3 times x. Negative 3 minus 1 is going to give us negative 4. Okay, that is our slope function, or our derivative. All right, we want to do that at g prime of 3. So if we do g prime of 3, we're subbing in 3 right in place of x. We have our negative 3. In place of x, it's positive 3. And that is to the power of negative 4. All right, and let's see. Negative 3, if you take the reciprocal of this right here, you can change the exponent to positive. All right, so it's negative 3 times 1/3 to the positive 4, to the 4th power. Okay, that's going to be 3. You have an exponent applied to a fraction. It goes to both the numerator and denominator. So that's going to be 1 to the 4th over 3 to the 4th. Okay, the exponent got applied to both, top and bottom. All right, we still have 3. 1 to the 4th is just 1. And 3 to the 4th is 3 multiplied 4 times. That's 81. 3 times 1 over 81 is going to be 3 over 81. And reducing that fraction, divide top and bottom by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 81 divided by 3, let's see. 3 into 8 goes twice. Carry the 2. 3 into 21 goes 7 times. Just made it, just enough room there. So it's 1 over 27. All right, just enter that right in the box there. All right, small mistake. When I took the derivative and moved the 3 to the front, that should have been negative 3 out front. All right, so everything else was correct, but that was -3. It was times -3, not +3. So it's -1/27. I fixed that. All right, a couple exponent rules real quick. If you have a to the -b, that equals 1/a to the b. Okay, you just take this, shift it into the denominator, change the plus minus sign on the exponent. And if you have a over b to the -x and you take the reciprocal, it becomes b over a to the +x.